Hey everyone, and welcome back to AI Podcast. We talk a lot about AI and all the amazing things it can do, but behind it all, there's a secret ingredient, data. But what if you could just create data like from scratch?
From scratch.
That's the power of synthetic data, and that's what we're going to be diving into today.
Yeah, it's a fascinating concept.
So what is it? What is synthetic data?
Well, synthetic data is essentially information that's, artificially created to kind of mimic real-world data, but without all the privacy headaches that can come along with real data.
Okay, so it's like a stand-in, a digital stand-in for the real deal.
Exactly.
But how do you create it? Is there some kind of secret AI recipe?
Well, there are a few ways to kind of cook it up. Some methods are pretty straightforward, like rule-based systems.
Okay.
So imagine you're designing a self-driving car, right?
Right.
You could use a rule-based system to simulate traffic patterns, taking into account things like speed limits, weather conditions, pedestrian behavior, that kind of thing.
So you're creating like a virtual driving school for these AI drivers.
Exactly. And the cool thing is you can test all sorts of crazy scenarios without putting anyone in danger in the real world.
Right.
But then it gets even more interesting when you bring in more powerful AI models like GANs, which are generative adversarial networks.
Roland GANs. Those are the ones that are like kind of battling it out, right? Like one
Yes.
AI model is trying to create data and the other one's trying to figure out if it's real or fake.
That's it, like a digital art forgery competition.
Uh-huh.
And the results are pretty amazing. GANs can generate images of faces, objects, even landscapes that are incredibly realistic. And they've never actually existed, these things.
Wow, that's like digital magic.
It is, yeah.
But so, okay, we've got our rule-based systems and we've got like our AI art forgers. But why go through all this trouble to create this synthetic data in the first place? Like, what's the big advantage?
Well, one of the biggest reasons is data scarcity. In some fields, like healthcare, for example, getting enough real-world data to train AI models effectively can be, well, really difficult, really expensive. And synthetic data kind of allows you to generate as much data as you need. You can tailor it to your specific needs.
That makes sense. You wouldn't want an AI doctor learning to diagnose like some rare disease based on just a handful of real cases, would you?
No, not at all. You want to make sure it has a lot of examples to learn from.
Right.
And speaking of healthcare, another big benefit of synthetic data is, well, privacy. Using real patient data can be kind of an ethical and legal minefield, right?
Yeah.
But synthetic data, well, you don't have those concerns. No risk of exposing sensitive information.
So it's like having your AI cake and eating it too.
Pretty much.
You get all the benefits of the data without the risks.
Yeah.
Are there any other advantages we should be aware of?
Yeah, for sure. Synthetic data can be incredibly cost-effective, for one thing. Collecting and labeling real-world data can be incredibly time-consuming and expensive, especially when you need, specialized expertise.
Yeah, imagine having to pay like a doctor to label thousands of medical images.
Yeah.
That would add up quickly.
Oh, yeah. But with synthetic data, you can generate labeled data sets much more efficiently, and that frees up resources for other tasks. Plus, you have complete control over the data you create. So you can customize it to fit specific needs or test, unusual cases that might be rare in the real world.
It really sounds like a game changer for AI development.
Yeah.
But are there any drawbacks or limitations? It can't all be sunshine and rainbows,
Of course not. Haha, no technology is perfect, right?
right?
One of the biggest challenges with synthetic data is ensuring accuracy. If the synthetic data doesn't closely resemble the real-world data it's supposed to be mimicking, well, it could lead to AI models that don't perform well in real-world situations.
It's like training a pilot on a flight simulator that's totally unrealistic, right?
Yeah.
They might ace the simulation, but then crash and burn in a real plane.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. And then there's the question of representativeness.
Okay.
Synthetic data needs to capture the full complexity and diversity of the real world. Otherwise, you could introduce biases or blind spots, into the AI models that are trained on it.
Right. So it's not just about creating a lot of data. It's about creating the right kind of data.
Exactly.
And that takes careful planning.
Absolutely. You have to consider the methods you're using to generate the data and the original data that you're basing it on. And, we have to be mindful of any biases in that original data and make sure the synthetic data reflects, the real world in all its diversity.
Right. That makes sense. It's not a silver bullet, but it's a really powerful tool that needs to be used thoughtfully.
Absolutely. And, that brings us to the question of adoption. How widely has the AI industry really embraced this whole synthetic data thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. Is it something that's mostly being used in, cutting-edge research labs?
Yeah.
Or are we seeing it being used in, like, real-world applications?
Well, the adoption rate varies quite a bit across different industries.
Okay.
Some sectors have jumped right in,
Yeah.
and others are, well, they're still dipping their toes in the water. Let's start with the early adopters, shall we?
Yeah.
One industry that's been really enthusiastic about synthetic data is, well, as we've mentioned, autonomous vehicles. Companies like Waymo and Tesla are using it a lot to train and test their self-driving systems.
Yeah, it makes sense. You can simulate millions of miles of driving
Mm-hmm.
in all kind of conditions,
Right.
all in a virtual world, and we're not putting anyone at risk. It's like a giant risk-free playground for self-driving cars.
Exactly. And they're not just, driving around aimlessly in these virtual worlds. They're exposed to all sorts of challenging scenarios.
Hmm.
Heavy traffic, adverse weather, even unexpected obstacles sometimes
Wow.
to make sure they can handle anything the real world throws at them.
So it's like giving them the ultimate driver's ed course
Yeah, pretty much.
before they hit the road. What other industries are really embracing synthetic data?
Well, another big proponent is the gaming and VR industry. Creating those immersive, interactive worlds we see in video games and VR.
Yeah.
Well, that wouldn't be possible without synthetic data. It's used to generate everything. Realistic environments, characters, even the physics of how objects move and interact.
That's incredible. It's like they're creating entire digital universes, all thanks to synthetic data.
It is, yeah. It's pretty mind-blowing.
So it's a pretty big deal in the entertainment world.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just about, creating cool visuals. Synthetic data is also being used to power those recommendation engines that, suggest what to watch next on Netflix or what to buy on Amazon.
So that's how they seem to know exactly what I'm going to be in the mood for
Hmm.
before I even know it myself. It's impressive and a little creepy at the same time.
It's the magic of AI and synthetic data. Now, there are industries where adoption is a bit more, well, moderate. Healthcare is a good example. There's huge potential there for using synthetic data to train AI models to diagnose diseases, for example. But there's also a lot of caution.
Yeah, healthcare is, high stakes, so it makes sense that there be more hesitation.
For sure. You want to be absolutely sure that the AI is making the right call, and that the data used to train it is really representative of real patient data. But even with those challenges, we're seeing some promising progress in areas like um, medical imaging
Hmm.
and drug discovery.
So synthetic data is finding its way into healthcare, albeit cautiously. What about other industries? Any that are like just starting to explore synthetic data?
Yeah, definitely. There are a lot of sectors where the use of synthetic data is still emerging, but the potential is enormous. Education is one example. Personalized learning platforms are becoming more sophisticated these days.
Right.
Well, synthetic data could be used to create virtual learning environments that adapt to each student's needs.
It's like having a virtual tutor, right?
Exactly. That can tailor the learning experience to you, to your individual, strengths and weaknesses.
That's cool.
And then another area where we're seeing a lot of excitement is in natural language processing, or NLP. Synthetic data is being used to train AI models to understand and generate human language better. And that has implications for everything from chatbots and virtual assistants to, translation services, even creative writing.
It sounds like synthetic data is going to have a big impact on how we communicate and interact with technology in the future.
Oh, I think so, yeah.
So all these real-world applications, they must be driving a lot of research.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the research community is hard at work addressing some of the challenges we talked about, ensuring accuracy, representativeness, ethical use.
It's good to know that people are thinking about those things carefully.
Hmm.
What are some of the big, research frontiers that are being explored right now?
Well, one of the main focuses is on improving the realism of synthetic data. Researchers are constantly developing new and, well, more sophisticated AI models, like those GANs we talked about earlier,
Right.
to generate synthetic data that's even more realistic. Data that's, virtually indistinguishable from real-world data.
So it's a race to create the ultimate digital illusion.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you could say that.
The more realistic the data, the more powerful the AI.
Exactly.
Well,
Well, another really important area is bias detection and mitigation.
right.
Remember, we talked about how important it is to ensure that synthetic data doesn't perpetuate harmful biases.
Yeah, yeah. Because even though the data is, fake, it can still reflect those biases from the real world.
Exactly. So researchers are developing, techniques to identify and mitigate those biases to make sure that AI models trained on synthetic data are fair and equitable.
That's really important. It's great that people are working on that.
It is, yeah.
What other research is being done?
Oh, there are a lot of other exciting research areas, developing new methods for validating the quality of synthetic data, exploring hybrid approaches that combine synthetic data and real-world data,
Oh, wow.
even pushing the boundaries of, what kinds of data can be synthesized.
Wow, it sounds like there's a lot of innovation happening.
Oh, yeah. This is a field that is really moving fast.
It's definitely one to watch for sure.
Absolutely. And we've only just scratched the surface of what synthetic data can do. It's going to be fascinating to see how it evolves and shapes the future of AI.
It's been an incredible journey exploring the world of synthetic data with you.
Yep.
I feel like I've learned so much.
It's been a pleasure sharing these insights with you. And remember, this is just the beginning. The field of synthetic data is evolving so rapidly. So stay curious and keep an eye out for all the amazing advancements that are sure to come.
Absolutely. And for our
And in the
listeners,
meantime, let us know what you thought of this episode. We love hearing your feedback.
we'll be back tomorrow with another exciting deep dive into the world of AI. Until then, keep those AI engines running.